Welcome to She Made That, a series that celebrates creative women. I'm your host, Daniela, and every month I sit down with women to hear their stories, what they create, and why.
She made that. She made that. You're so creative. She made that.
Hi, Valeria. Thank you so much for joining me today on another creative discussion. Before we begin, can you give yourself a little introduction as well as the business you created for yourself?
Of course. Thank you for having me. I am Valeria of Italian origins. I moved to the UK about 26 years ago now, or I should say I moved out of Italy around 26 years ago. I used to be a clinical psychologist there, but because of a burnout, I decided to leave with a one-way ticket to London at that time with the excuse of learning English. And here I am still. In the meantime, I decided not to want to work in mental health anymore. So I took another degree in computer animation and visualization from Bournemouth University in England. And I went on to work in films and television, where I stayed for about 13 years. And I started off with a lot of passion, and I started off with love for that industry. But even though it paid well and gave me a certain freedom as a freelancer, I realized that the pressure of both the film industry and the freelancing nature didn't serve me anymore. And that was 13 years down the line. And so I decided to change that. And obviously, change is difficult, especially when you're an adult and you've been through so much already, changing country 3 times and learning new languages and changing careers 3 times and having just studying a different language and all that was, it took time and energy. But once I realized I wasn't happy in the film industry anymore, actually, I was really miserable. I decided to leave, and naturally, I moved towards property investments, something that I had an attraction for because, in amongst the other things, I'd been studying interior design. So something that attracted me about properties was the renovation parts of it, and so I slowly but surely moved into that field with uncertainty first, but then when it became more real, it actually became really difficult and a bit stressful. Obviously, there is a lot of money involved and there is a lot of responsibility. And so I realized at some point that I was risking much more than I have had in film industry, and I was even working harder. But I was determined to make it work for myself, and I knew I didn't want to go back into film industry. I knew I wouldn't never want to go back into psychology. So through sheer determination and sheer courage, I guess, at some point, I made a breakthrough using from what I knew from, psychology, interior design, the film industry. Everything came together to contribute, along with the property education that I've been acquiring, to set up a very successful flipping business, house flipping business. And this is what I do today, as well as coaching people on how to renovate to flip, because it's a very different way of approaching a renovation, whether you're doing it for yourself or you're doing it as an investment. And I've done both. I've done my own houses in the years. I done a couple of them, moved many times, actually moved in the UK, but twice in my own residence. And obviously I've done a lot of renovation for flips because this is what I do every day.
Wow, that's quite the transition you made going from the film industry to flipping homes. If you don't mind me asking, how did this idea come to be? Have you always had the passion for it, but never pursued it until later on?
I think there are many contributing factors to me choosing to go into property investments. One is that as a child, I was exposed to building sites and work in homes because my dad bought a couple of houses that we had to refurbish before moving in. Second is the fact that when I moved to England and I started renting houses in England, I realized that nothing was fit for purpose or for my purpose. I always rented decent houses, but I never found that the offer on the market was up to standard, up to Italian standard. I'm going to be very nationalistic here. We are home proud and we really care about the functionality and the aesthetics of our homes in Italy. And I found as a renter in the UK, that wasn't the case. It was often the frustration coming because something hadn't been really thought through properly in the layout, for example, of a kitchen, for which the everyday uh, life will create some stress. And obviously, that contributed to my passion to do renovations and refurbishments and the passion I have for interior designs, so colors and all that shebang that's around the interiors design. But what was contributing the most was the fact that I had become aware, and what they say, once the light bulb comes on, it never comes off. I had become aware that I didn't want to work for a boss anymore. I wanted some freedom. I wanted to regain my own life. I always felt pushed through a funnel of people, especially living in London. You feel that way. And the pressure of the daily hustle and the day pressure and the rush and the run got to me. I was also not young anymore. And so I kind of became more and more aware of what properties could bring me, how I could, through property investment, bring a different life. And obviously, you initially buy into the culture of the get rich quick property business and tomorrow you buy a Ferrari, but that's not the case, of course. So I had to make a few mistakes. I had to find the wrong coach to start with, and I had to, it's a long story. Let's cut it short. I had to take them to court to recoup £12,000 of coaching fees. But then I found a good coach, and they took me to where I was in film industry to slowly but surely take the courage to actually invest into the first property that I flipped with a joint venture partner. And it almost happened because I believed without thinking too much, because if you stop and think, you're terrified of the change. But without thinking too much, I jumped with both feet into a world that slowly but surely became my world. And that it kind of helped me taper out the contracts that I was taking in film industry and just increase the amount of work I was doing with properties until I realized that I moved out of film industry completely. All I was doing was buying houses and flipping them. And therefore that became my life almost quite naturally, but through determination, through courage, through the search for the the perfect life that could make me happy again and feel whole again. And then it happened that people started to ask me for help with the renovations until I founded this course that's called Flip It. It actually teaches people how to renovate for profit. So it's been a natural progression from desire, pain, passion, and natural evolution and personal growth, I guess.
Yeah, for myself, I come from an Italian family, so I do understand where you're coming from. Um, I'm also glad that you were able to find something where you feel complete. Now, I'm assuming you're flipping homes where you're from. Are you open to other locations as well eventually?
I obviously invest close where I live. I have the opinion, and I'm actually living proof of the fact that you can invest within half an hour from where you live. I used to live in Cambridgeshire. I used to live to invest and flip homes, houses, and flats within half an hour from where I lived in Cambridgeshire. Now I moved to Bournemouth. I've been here for a couple of years, and I do invest within half an hour from where I live now, because I'm of the as I said, I'm of the living proof that you don't need to go on inverted comma up north where the house prices are lower. People tend to move their investments patch away from where they live if the house prices where they live is high, but it's a misconception because the opportunities to invest are everywhere. So you don't need to jump hoops in that respect. And if you feel that money is an issue, it's probably the way you are approaching a project and you are presenting opportunities to funding partners, JV or angel investors. But if you do present your project in the right way, if you present the opportunity in the right way, and if you know what to present and how to present it to them, money is not an issue. So you can pretty much invest wherever you want. It's a matter of lifestyle choices for me to invest close to where I live.
Okay, cool. So now, how do people reach you or know about what you're doing? Do you have a website or do you go by word of mouth?
People can find me all over social media. So if you look for Valeria Romano, flip it. So Valeria Romano, flip it, as in flip it. You will find my Facebook handle, my LinkedIn handle, my homepoise.com website, and I am also on Instagram. So, and I have a very striking profile picture with just my face, and it's half the face in yellow, half the face in black and white, half the page, half the profile in yellow, half the profile in black and white. But basically, you can find me all over social media. And I'm always happy to talk to people, to answer questions and curiosities. I have a lot of people wanting to know how I did and how I manage so many flips every year, and a lot of questions. And I'm always happy to answer questions from people. Yeah, that's how they can contact me or get in touch with me or just snoop around and stalk me if they wish to.
Okay, perfect. I'll definitely add that in the description. Valeria, thank you again for joining me today. It was a pleasure chatting with you. Keep doing what you're doing and take care.
Hey, Daniela, thank you so much for having me in your uh, podcast. I really appreciate it. Please do let me know when it's published, if there is a handle I can have so I can actually publicize it myself and push your content as well. In so doing, I will give you my profile picture as well. Thank you so much. And yeah, I keep doing this actually. I was thinking that it's quite clever the way you're doing it. Thank you so much. And thanks for having me again. And if you need any more contributions, please do let me know and I'll be available. Thank you. Bye bye.
She made that. She made that. You're so creative. She made that.